Lillian McDermott, weekdays at noon on AM 1510, FM 99.9, 94.7, and 100.7. The views expressed on the following program are those of the hosts, callers, and guests, and are not necessarily those of WMEL staff, management, or advertisers.
This is Joe Steckler, folks, your host for Helping Seniors. Helping Seniors is the radio arm of Helping Seniors, the big guy. The whole program we talk about, it's to inform, educate, and connect seniors and those that care for seniors to resources to help the seniors. We're just one part of it here on the radio show. We have a television show, we have this radio show. We have a very, very broad media coverage outlet through the newspapers, through magazines that support seniors. But we're going to talk about that on the radio show today. And I've titled the show today, the purpose of the show is to helping seniors in 2017. I'll just let you know that this is the last show of 2016, and my two panelists are Kerry Fink and Kay Kaiser. Kay is the information specialist for the office, and Kerry is the interim director for the program, and he's the media guy, the television person. He's well experienced in what he knows, goes along with John Harper, who's the owner of radio station WMEL. We're trying to put together an outlet program so that everybody in Brevard County has access to the services that are provided by very, very wonderful nonprofits throughout the county. And if you don't know about these people, then you can't access them for help. But the purpose of our purpose is to help you become connected to the different programs that can help people. Our phone number to reach Kay at the office is 323-7770. And the way we pay for this program, we're going to talk about that a little bit today too, because we're a community organization, and you know, for many years I've had some personal thoughts on how we pay for programs, but we're going to talk a little bit about that. But note for right now, our sponsors, some of them include the Eye Institute, Dr. Lee Sheldon, Bill Johnson, elder law attorney, this radio station, WMEL AM 1510, Gustav Hospital Systems, Levin Home Care, Zon Beachside, Ebony News Today, Riverview Senior Resort, Organized Creative Designs, Brevard Chiropractic and Neurogen Center of Rockledge, and Cobblestone Realty, along with Market Street Memory Care. That's just part of our sponsors, folks. But they're all organizations designed to assist seniors. And my first loaded question for my two panelists today, I asked them before the show started, I said, if I just ask you what our Helping Seniors outlook for 2017 was, I asked Kerry, I said, would that throw you for a loop? And he says, no, not a bit. So why wouldn't it throw you for a loop, Kerry? What is our outlook for 2017?
It's going to be amazing, Joe. It's going to be a good year, and I'll tell you why. We were doing some research as we were putting together things and information that some of our underwriting sponsors need to have, and I was astounded when I came up to the statistic that we're a 50-50 county. And what I mean by that is 50% of the people who live in our county meet the AARP definition of a senior, which is 50 plus. And as you know, the next step of that is if you look at 60 plus, that's 1 out of 4 people in our county. So it means every time you walk down the street, that one is 50 plus, that one is 65 plus, that one is 50 plus, that one is 65 plus. And guess what? Those numbers keep growing. Our county has grown 4.5% since 2010 in population. If you go to the U.S. government census statistics, that means, and you know who's moving to Florida. People love Florida. They want to come here. We call ourselves an elder-friendly community. So you know the need for helping seniors is going to continue to grow exponentially over the next 5 to 10 years. And that's why the work that we're doing as an organization is so important.
Kay, what would you out?
Well, I would say that it's going to be a huge year for us. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I take the calls. And by the way, if I'm on the other line, by all means, leave a message because I will return your call.
Right.
But more important, what I'm finding is when I ask people, how do they find out about helping seniors of Brevard? Because I keep a pretty extensive database. I want the date, I want the name, I want how old they are, their number, what they're calling about, their address, if they've got an email, all of the above. So everything is documented, and then I follow up. But what's surprisingly here lately is that when I ask people, how are you finding out about helping seniors at Brevard, I'm getting, a friend told me. A friend told me. So that's telling me that the word is definitely getting out. People are indeed talking about helping seniors at Brevard, and if we helped one person, they're telling another person, and so on and so forth. So that's exciting to know that people are really speaking about helping seniors at Brevard.
Well, I agree with everything both of you, Kerry and Kay, what you say. I've been involved in nonprofit work for 29 years, and I continue to see a change in the way services are delivered. And one of the biggest challenges, folks, that nonprofits have is staying alive. It's one thing to call 911 or 211 or 311 or another number to get help or assistance. But, you know, you've got to have a responsive element on the other end of that phone in order to help you with the problem that you have. And as many people as I've talked to over the years, folks, and I know there are some of you listening to this show today that if some of you go back to my very first show 16 years ago. I do know that because you all tell me how long you've been listening to this radio show. But it disturbs me a great deal when, or it disturbs me if I even think that people don't recognize that we all have a responsibility to somehow pitch in and help a little bit. One of the problems that nonprofits face, folks, is the ability to remain financially solvent. And, you know, that should come as no surprise to any of you. And I would never devote a show to a plea for asking for money, and I would never do that. But it's also fair for us as we start 2017 to let you all know that if you will follow us through Hometown News, Senior Scene Magazine, and if you go to our website, helpingseniors.brevard.org, you will see honest directives from us about our status, how much we need your help. I had a couple of recent articles in Hometown News about being honest, and another about starting a program where we're trying to get, you know, Kerry mentioned we got a 50-50 community. That 50-50 community, folks, is close to roughly 545,000 people. And you would think that out of 545,000 people, if 18% are under the age of 21, then you got a lot of people that are in the working market and retired. That, you know, those numbers mean that you're still got well over 350,000 people that could help a little bit. And just think, folks, if 1,000 people gave $100 a year, that's $100,000, and that would be a little bit shy of half of our budget. But it's not just helping seniors, it's other organizations throughout Brevard County, other nonprofits that I submit to you that they are well-intentioned organizations that do a lot to help people. Some may see their services as being more necessary than others. That's their right. You have a right to fight for what you believe in. I happen to believe that we need to do a better job of just simply letting you all know how much we need you. Kerry, you pick up.
I think it's really important to have this conversation because sort of a tagline that we've been talking about is the fact that in our county, you either are a senior or you're caring for a senior, or there's a senior in your family that you love and care for, or you're planning on being a senior. And so if you want to call it pay it forward, if you want to call it the golden rule and do unto others as you'd have, there are people, and there's a spot right on the homepage of our website. I was showing it to somebody this morning. And it's a series of callers, and it's somebody that calls in. That's one of the calls, Kay, that you deal with all the time. Somebody who's trying to get by on $90 a week and try to afford their medications, everything that they've got to do. And there's such a great need out there. And the point is, if we work on this thing together, it's not like somebody has to make a ridiculous commitment. It's just like if you just join the Army, join the Helping Seniors group, and help us a little bit. This is such a frugal organization. I mean, it is such an efficient organization at what it does. And if we work together, we're going to be able to accomplish some great things for seniors in this community.
Okay.
I have a comment too. We go back to the AARP standards, Kerry, and that's 1 out of every 2 in Brevard County. Now, let's think about those people who call Helping Seniors of Brevard who are between 50 and not quite 65. They need a lot of help. They're stuck in this, for lack of better words, donut hole on a limited income. They could be on disability or, food stamps and all that above. But, that's half of our population right here who can't afford insurance, can't get Medicare because they're not 65 yet. But we get an awful lot of callers that are in that category. So Brevard, I believe, with baby boomers coming on stronger every year, there's going to be a heck of a lot more people in that position. And that's why, for those who really want to help our seniors and help Brevard become an elder-friendly community, we're at the end of 2016. We look forward to 2017 to be able to help more seniors because they just don't have the resources. That's the bottom line, too.
I'll pick up on that here, Kay.
Yep.
When I was filling in for you there several days and I was answering the phone, one of the first phone calls I had was from a lady that her husband had just received his new shipment of insulin and the needles and everything. It was in the package, nothing wrong. His prescription had been changed, right. And she wanted to know if we could possibly use that. I said, I don't know, it's a good question, because you hear so many questions about you can't take a medicine from another person, you can't do this, you can't do that, who has been tampered with. I found that it's a lot easier to call a doctor's office and let the doctor make a decision, because I called a doctor's office and told them the circumstances, and the nurse said, tell them I will come and get the insulin. Because Fantastic. If you read the article in Brevard Today last week, the cost of insulin has gone up something like 25 or 30%. Right. And insulin happens to be one of the very few medications that cannot be purchased through Canadian Medications of Melbourne, because the makers of insulin have controlled the market on that to such an extent they've kept the market price high on it. Mm-hmm. So any way you can do something to help people. I think the same thing. I don't know that much about eyeglasses because the Lions Club has collected glasses for years, but I also found out that I had some medication I got that were packaged. They're still, the seals are not broken. And the doctor said, yes, I can use that medication because I have. Right. If I can see that it's not been opened, right. It becomes a different thing. And they have a lot of calls. And the last thing I want to say on this is I finally decided, folks, to have my cataracts taken off. And I'm still leery of it. I'm still thinking about it. But I just picked some medication up. I'm retired military. And the doctor phoned the prescription into Walgreens, and we have a copay just like everybody else does. And my copay for each of the 3 medications was $24, which amounted to $72. Oh, I can pay that. But that person you're talking about is living on $90 a week or $100 a week. For them to shell out $72, and those medications are what the medications that anybody has to use if we're going to have cataract surgery. So there are just so many things that we that are a little better off than others that live in this community, we don't give it a passing thought about how much is handed to us without. Kerry, you're nodding there a lot. You're like a person to say something. Kay, you'll have to wait and let him talk.
Okay.
Well, I was just going to say, I was thinking about the survey results that we did with the Senior Advocacy Survey. And interestingly enough, I was just looking at it again this morning. We asked seniors, what's the number one need that you have in Brevard County? And of course, if you thought of all the things that you could mention, the first thing that they said, and it was tied for number one. The first, of course, is we need help with finances, which I don't think you could be almost any age and say I need help with finances. But the other thing that was tied for number one and actually edged it just a bit was I need information. And see, that's the thing that Helping Seniors is able to do. Because of your experience, because of Kay's experience, somebody calls in, number one, they're going to get a call back. They're not going to get stuck in some automated press 4 for this, press 9 for that. Right. They're going to get to talk to a person. The person is going to be a person who cares. The person is going to be a person who knows how to connect a resource. And a lot of times, it's just one call, one idea away. And so when people are supporting Helping Seniors, that's what they're helping doing. It's your donation into Helping Seniors gets multiplied because of the effect of their trading. It's why we take calls from organizations like 211. They forward people to us because you guys know how to connect somebody to something that's going to get them an answer that works.
And we got to make sure that knowledge gets passed on. That's another thing. Kay, go ahead.
Absolutely.
You wanted to say something.
Well, I wanted to comment too. You're talking about medications, that you can afford that, to have your medications prior to cataract surgery. But think about those people who are they're not taking their medications in order to eat. And that's a desperation situation. It's a really tough environment for them to be in because they have to decide if they're going to take their medication or they're going to eat food. And again, it goes back to, they're not on Medicaid, they're not on Medicare. There are things that, it's really difficult to make ends meet. And I find that, as you know, Joe and Kerry, oftentimes when I get a call, I made a call back to a lady a couple days ago who had called. I've known this lady for years, and I run into her at Publix all the time in Merritt Island. And she had called me because she'd remembered me, and she said, I've got a friend that needs some help with transportation. So I followed up a couple days ago and spoke to her, and she says, I've been thinking every time I run into you, I think that there's a question that I know and I need to find out. She was a caretaker for her husband that passed away almost 7 years ago, who was a veteran who served in a time of war. And I said, you were his full-time caretaker. And she's fighting the VA. So, this is things that, she didn't know about. So, we need to look into these situations. So many of the surviving widows of a veteran have no clue of what they might be eligible for.
Through the Veterans Administration.
Absolutely.
Right. And you don't, when people don't really stop and think sometimes, Kerry and Kay, when you talk about retired Army, retired Air Force, retired Navy, retired Marine, or veteran, a veteran can be any of the services, and we sort of use the word veteran and retiree synonymously, and you can't really do that because in many respects, the retiree benefits are a little bit better than the VA benefits, but they're still both benefits that can help people live far better lives if they know about what's available through them than if they don't know.
Exactly.
So, let's get past the first question, okay? The second question I had was talking about building support for aiding all seniors. And I had 4 things I listed under that. I said building financial support, building support for an aging plan, enlarging our information network, and doing a better job of building a donor base. And let's start with the last one first. The donor base, we just finished the Jaguar raffle. The lady folks won the car. She was from down in the Atlantic. She and her husband were extremely pleased with the car, and I know that they're going to really enjoy it. But that Jaguar raffle helped us get a good start on improving our donor base, because now we're looking at the feasibility of having a Mustang or maybe a Dodge Charger, a muscle car, a new one, not an old one, not one that's going to cost a fortune to have somebody donate or help us pay for, but it'll be a small way of helping pay our bills. And what we want to try and do is put something in place. And Kerry, I know you have some thoughts on that too.
Yeah, it really comes back to thinking about the fact that we have to have more people, more hands and legs helping us in all of this. I remember saying earlier in the show, we're a very frugal organization. You've never taken a salary since the day this has been organized, and you're very careful to make sure that everything goes straight to the front line, if you will, that everybody is taking the calls, that we are serving seniors. And as we build support, the more people who come in, the very same people who respond to a senior advocacy survey, we want to invite them to participate in helping seniors next year in terms of helping us be part of the solution of, number one, is just like Kay said, people are telling people about helping seniors, and as we build that network of support, that's going to help us go and grow. We'll talk more after the break about the $100 Club and some of the things that are going to be happening with that. We're going to talk about the Senior Advocacy Council. We're going to be talking about the 2017 Senior Needs Survey and some of the things that we want to do, because if we're going to be an elder-friendly community, it's going to be up to those of us in helping seniors to help lead the way.
Okay, Kay,
Well, I agree. Everything, just people, we've given you some statistics here in the first part of the show, and I think that, again, baby boomers are going to really be increasing in Brevard County. It seems like our big secret of a place to live in Florida has certainly gotten out. So we want to continue to help seniors. So we'll talk more in the second part of the program and how you can participate.
I agree with everything that they're saying, and folks, it's so important because, I've always believed through my 38 years of military service that if you can come up with a good plan, you stand a better chance of getting people to join you. And the military was not built without a plan, nor is anything as successful built without a plan. But we have an aging plan, and we have to get the commissioners to help us, and we need to develop a lead agency because. Well, we'll talk about that after the break. We're going to take a 3-minute break now, folks. Stick with us, and because we want to talk some more about a whole bunch of things that we want you to think about during 2017. Stay with us.
Ed Dean, weekdays 5 to 7 p.m. on FM 99.9, 94.7, and 100.7.
This is Joe Steckler, folks. We're back live with the second half of Helping Seniors, the radio arm of Helping Seniors of Brevard County. Our phone number for Kay, our information specialist at the office, is 321-473-7770. And I'll give you a listening idea of some of our sponsors for the second half of the show in case you find somebody you might need to go to for help. Senior Scene Magazine, Hometown News, Spotlight Magazine, the Seniors Helping Seniors. It's an home care home health organization. The Fountains of Melbourne, Courtney and Braswell Financial Group, Barbara McIntyre, Home Equity Specialist, Canadian Meds of Melbourne, where you can get medicine at a far greater price savings than you can some of the medications here in the United States, folks, and it's completely legal. Ear Care, Vitas Hospice, Handy Pro of the Space Coast, and this is a lady, Elaine Cook. She helps you take the home that you're living in, make some simple modifications to it so that you can live in it as you grow older. And just think about that. When you're building a home, start thinking about how you can build things in there easily. If, for example, in your kitchen, if you're going to put a granite sink in or a granite tile in, build an overhang over the stove a little bit, or the stove a little bit, so that the burners, so that if you can pull a couple of stools underneath there, you can sit down while you cook and take some of the strain off your back. And if you don't want to take your food to the table, you can sit there with under the overhang and eat your supper or your lunch. It's just some ways to think about, because as you get older, you get into a field of therapy called occupational therapy, and it's not something that's designed to help you orchestrate a job, but it's designed to help you move around your home safely and to do things in a safer manner. And I had to do that when I went through my stroke recovery. But I go back to, here's a couple of other organizations. Al Dia Today, the Spanish newspaper. In-Home Personal Services are one of our newest sponsors with Steve and Christina Paff, who are, Christina is a doctor, got her PhD in therapy, and so these people bring a whole host of services and experience to those that care for seniors and seniors themselves. So that's the purpose of helping seniors. I made a comment during the first part of the show. We were talking about the need for a senior information network, and it gives. And I'm going to mention things. And Kerry, you and Kay, I want you all to pick up and talk about them. One of you, we talk about our provider network. Why do we need a provider network? Why do we need a sponsor network? Why do we need any of these things? Why do we need a better financial planning for seniors? Why do we need an aging plan? Why do we need some of these things?
Because people call us in desperation. They have no plan. And that's very important. You've talked about planning and how important it is. And we hope that maybe, during this holiday season, you've had your family and relatives and friends over. And it's a time to really sit down and talk about a plan.
Right.
Too many people they call, they're in a crisis. What do I do? Where do I go? I got a call the other day from a lady who was concerned about her daughter's mother-in-law, who was living in her car. And this shouldn't be. And unfortunately in Brevard County, if a woman doesn't have a child with her, finding a place to live is a really difficult challenge.
And you think about that.
Yeah, there's a lot of places for men to go in shelters, but for a single woman, this lady was in her 70s. Now her children are grown up. She was living in her car.
Well, we just had a phone call. We've got a guy that keeps calling us a lot about helping pay for his car, fixing, repair, and everything. It turns out there's an organization in Titusville that does that work free. If you have the parts, they do the work.
Wow.
And we'll get the name of that place because that's something we need as a resource. But see, folks, you all know about a lot of resources that we don't know about. So if something that we're talking about here on the radio show triggers something in your mind, call Kay at the office at 473-7770 and tell her about this organization that might do something to help somebody else. We have something on our website called our assistance sheet, and that needs updating. I was looking at it the other day. In fact, we're going to have a meeting after the radio show today, and I'm going to talk to Kerry about updating that assistance sheet. But it's a list of phone numbers for you to call, and they're phone numbers that get a heck of a lot of use, and if you don't know about them, you should know about them. So many of you got these little stick-it things plastered all over your refrigerators and cabinets and everything else. The stuff falls on the floor, gets under everything. But, if you got so much of that stuff plastered there and you can't tell what you got plastered there, it's not going to help you.
Right.
That's just why we need to have these things like these assistance sheets so that people can go to them and see what it is that you can get help. Because, quite honestly, folks, there are many people that have the ability to pay for something, yet they don't know what they can do to go get the help that they need, even though they can pay for it. If they don't know about it, they don't know where to go to get it. Right. So, word of mouth and talking to each other, telling people, hey, Joe talked about this on the radio show the other day. Why don't you give Kay a call and see if you want to become a member of their $1,000 or 1,000 member club a year, or if you want to become a volunteer, or if you have something that might help somebody else, or if you have insulin or medications that you're no longer using, that if a doctor clears it, it's perfectly legal. And folks, there are a lot of myths out there about what can be and what can't be. Try calling and getting an honest answer about whether it is a myth or a fact.
Good point. And I wanted to bring something to the perspective too. As we develop and we move on, for example, I'm getting a new roof as a result of Hurricane Matthew coming up next month. but I've had this company come in before who did repairs. They were so polite, they were so courteous, then they built my trust. So whether it's a roofer, a plumber, an electrician, we're not just talking about a business that, quote, caters to seniors. If you've had a great experience with a contractor of any kind, by all means call me, because this is something I know, doggone it, we're going to get, when those storms start coming again, I'm going to get people calling me for this and that and this and that. So if you've had a great experience, by all means call me at 473-7770, and I'll be personally even making that call to that contractor or whoever business you recommend, because if you've had a good experience, any business is always going to tell you word of mouth is always the best, because people do trust them.
And people that are generally speaking, people that are long-time advertisers on a radio station are pretty good in what they say they can do. I know that Howard Garage Doors has been a long-time sponsor here at WMEL. And
they've already gotten a referral.
Oh, I know they have.
Yes.
And but you never know when things are going to happen to you that you might need to know somebody. And if something happens, you have flooding in the house, you have a broken water line, it doesn't take long for a house to fill up full of water. And Terry and I found that out real quickly when somebody put the wrong kind of a connection in our house, and that didn't help. And just here a couple of weeks ago, we had a flooding in our garage because when some air conditioning people did some work on the AC, did a maintenance thing, they failed to put the glue in the PVC piping. So when the water was dripping on the condensate line, it just went down the line and just deposited itself on the floor of the garage. And it doesn't take long for water to ruin cardboard boxes. Mm-hmm. So, Kerry?
Well, I was just going to add to the conversation. You asked the question, so why is the importance of a senior network and having people that you can trust as part of all of this? And you've been answering the question as we've been going along, because two things happen. Some part of it is getting ahead of the curve. So if you have the ability to talk to a financial planner, an elder attorney, if you have the ability to talk and get some of the advice about medical things ahead of time, you're really well armed to face things that might come up as you go down the road. The flip side of that is you're going to always run into things where you need to call, quote, a fire department, and it could be a plumbing situation, it could be an AC situation, it could be any kind of things like that, a roofing situation. And isn't it good to know that you can go to some place that it's word of mouth only better, because now you're getting a referral from somebody that says, no, we've dealt with this company before. They do a good job. They do care about what they do. They've certified that they care about what they do. And, to put it quite frankly, you can't control everything, but if you got a complaint about something, I know this organization, they would be on top of it, calling that vendor and saying, hey, we got to make this right, or how can you help this particular customer? There's a level of accountability that happens. And so when you're looking at this Helping Seniors Provider Network and the people that are connected to it, it's because these are people who've banded together because they do care about the seniors. And that's, it's not always, my father had this expression, it's not always about, he goes, I'm not rich enough to buy cheap. I need to buy the thing that's going to help resolve whatever I'm trying to solve. And I think that's part of having a trusted resource network that you can go to in time of need.
Yeah, and the other part of that, Carly, to sort of add to that, Kerry, is that if an organization does a decent job, it sure helps to be able to know that, to get the word out. And conversely, if the organization does poor work, it's just as nice to know that, so that when somebody calls you and asks you about a company, if you heard some horror stories, it doesn't hurt to tell the horror story.
No.
I firmly believe it. You earn your reputation by the performance of your work output. And if your work output is good, then your reputation should be good. If you have a poor reputation based on faulty work, then somebody that... I think about it. The lady was 86 years old. I think she was 86. Might have been older. And some water company had come in and put all kind of filter systems in a lady's house, and she didn't need them at all. And, Yeah, they just kept taking her. She called me and she says, "How can I stop them from putting stuff in, Joe?" I said, "Well, don't open the door." And I ended up calling the company, and they didn't bother the lady again. Now, we can't solve all the problems like that, but businesses don't want to earn a bad reputation. You don't stay in business with a bad reputation. So it helps to have a good provider network, and that's something we are going to do in 2017.
Absolutely, and it's not a bad segue into something we were talking about during the break, which is the power of social media. And we were talking about how Helping Seniors is now on all the major social medias. We have a Facebook account, we have a Twitter account. You can follow us on LinkedIn. You can find us on Instagram. You can find us on Google+. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on SoundCloud. I mean, we're everywhere, but the reason is we have to be at those places so people can connect. And that's a lot of times, as you know, what happens with experiences. People like to share a good experience. I had this problem. These people helped me resolve it. And that's one of the things. If we can motivate people who are connected, people who are listening to this radio show are already showing their intelligence, if you will, because they're taking the time to listen, to get ahead of the aging curve, and to take that time to get information that's going to help them. And by connecting up with us on all these different social media, that becomes a whole nother avenue for them to join in.
Folks, the reason Kerry is so up on this is that I asked him the question, I sort of phrased it like this. I said, if Trump can send all these tweets out, why can't we do this, send this thing out to tell people good news? And seriously, all joking aside, I hope that our president-elect is going to be able to put some really good tweets out the coming year, because I think it's time our country needs some good tweets, Kerry. Okay?
Let's have some fun with it. But seriously, it is, people were amazed. Whatever side of the election, it really doesn't matter. But that the whole process changed because we saw that the president-elect decided to go direct to the people. And that just shows the power. The people are interested in that. And that's the same thing. By what Helping Seniors does is we're able to go direct to the people. So people who find us on Facebook, Helping Seniors of Brevard, like our page, tell your friends about it. That way you'll always be aware of things that are upcoming. We have a lot of things planned in 2017. We have the Senior Advocacy Council that's going to be reconvening. We're going to be at a lot of senior expos next year. We're on media all over the place. Joe, you can't open up a newspaper, you can't open up a magazine without seeing Joe Steckler's column. Joe's a favorite. Everything from Spotlight Magazine, Senior Scene, the list goes on forever. Aldea Today, Ebony News Today. I mean, and the importance is because it's the mission of Helping Seniors is to get information into people's hands so they can age with dignity.
And I want to make a comment about radio, because I remember, I think, coming up here in the next month's Senior Scene magazine, John Harper, the owner of WMEL 1510, sent out to a lot of people an icon of a radio, and it says, no data streaming, no cost. You can listen to it in your car. You can listen to it at home. So with this radio show, for our listening audience, the information we're trying to convey to you is that we're trying to cover all the bases. So that education, which is the result of a survey coming up at almost number 1, is the fact that that is so vital to you. So not only do we take the incoming calls, we feel that we need to continue keeping that education and information coming back to you, because the more information you have, the more knowledgeable that you're going to be able to plan and not run into a crisis situation where you're calling at the last minute when saying, what do I do? Where do I go? We're here to help in all the ways we can, and certainly I can't help 100% of the people. There are certain things that we just are out of our control. But, I always said from the very beginning of taking this position, if I don't know the answer to the question, I'm going to look into it and certainly try my best to find the answer for you.
That's another big important thing, is that once you get involved in work like Kay and I do, folks, you learn a lot of connecting links. And if somebody asks us a question, it would be pretty difficult between the two of us to have some idea of who to call to help resolve a problem. Now, we don't always get the solution that we want. We don't always solve the problem the way that we think it should be solved. But I can assure you that if you don't try to solve a problem, you never will solve it. And just because it doesn't end up the way you exactly might want it, still that doesn't mean that you haven't successfully accomplished something. And just like I strongly believe that the people in the United States are going to become more aware of the need to put the golden rule in effect and not do unto others as you would have them do unto you. There's a lot of truth in that. Many of us can afford to help other people. Many of us don't want to give because we don't trust the people that are asking us for our money. And it's an easy thing to say, I want you to donate. It's a much harder thing to show people that if they donate to you, that you're using their money wisely. And we did this Jaguar raffle, and as much as I hate to admit it, I found a couple of sets of tickets got buried in something, and they were $100 donations. So I had Marty, we did a letter and sent the check back to the people saying that we apologize we didn't get their tickets in the Jaguar draft drawing, but I couldn't keep that money. And, if they want to give it back to us, that's their call. But there are just a lot of organizations that don't think twice about what they do. But I can't take a penny from somebody if I haven't earned it.
Because you're ethical. And I want to add, too, we're coming up to December 31st. A lot of you people out there listening to our program today may be thinking, well, I need to do a tax deduction here. So we welcome your donation. And there are several ways that you can do that. Number one, you can call the office at 473-7770. We can take a credit card donation, and also Kerry from the website, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
There's a big donate button there, and you're welcome to do that. And I think the thing that Joe was saying is so critical. You're dealing with an organization that really puts the integrity at the forefront. And so I already explained earlier that this is a very, very frugal organization. We run a budget that's, quite frankly, a fraction of just some salaries that other organizations do for the whole thing. And the reason is it's the philosophy behind it. The point is we got to get what we do to the front lines, which is helping seniors. It's all about helping seniors, and that's why 1,700 plus people have been helped through helping seniors. The radio show, the TV shows, the print, everything that goes on, all these business partners donate in to make that possible so that we can get the word out to literally, like we said, the 50-50, the 50% that are over 50 in Brevard County.
Right. One statistic we can't ever track, and I don't know how we'd ever do it, but I would venture to say that there are a lot of people that listen to the show or read the newspaper or watch television. They come up with a solution based on what they've heard from one of us that they tell somebody else, a friend, and that helps them solve their problem. They never get to us, but if somebody knows a way to solve a problem, they say, "Well, hey, I heard this someplace." I always think about this show. This was years ago, that a family had been taken for $30,000 by a nursing home, and simply because they were, and they called me at home, and they told me what had happened. I said, "You shouldn't have paid that." I said, "That was covered under another thing." And I said, "I can make a phone call if you want me to." And he said, "Would you help us?" We did. They got $30,000 returned to them. Wow. And it was a mistake, but it was the type of mistake that maybe somebody wouldn't have said something about it. So there's honesty starts at home. Honesty starts with the workplace. Kay?
2 minutes left. I was going to say, it really does. And, I'm sure that there are a lot of people out there that have watched the TV show, or read an article, or heard the program, who have told other people. And the fact is that we archive all of our media on our website, and so you can do a search and you can find the subject that you may be interested in learning more about. You can read the articles, you can listen to the radio shows, you can watch a TV show, so you don't have to be sitting in front of your TV at home. So,
and there's one thing when Kay's hitting on this, folks. If there's something that you'd like to know more about, or you want us to discuss on the radio or TV show, or do an editorial on, Call Kay at 473-7770. Tell her what you think the need is, and we'll see if it's a valid thing. Then we'll do something about it.
Good idea. That's
We want
fantastic.
to help you, but in order to help you, you have to help us help you. Kerry?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that we're going to be talking about in the coming year, including the $100 Club. And Joe, that's what you'd mentioned, having 1,000 people provide $100 as a one-time donation for the year to help us do the work of helping seniors.
Okay. Folks, I want to thank you for listening to the show today. We're just about out of time. It's always a pleasure to have Kerry and Kay in the studio because they understand what we can do and how we can help people. And we can do a better job in 2017 if you'll let us help you, but we are asking you to help us so that we can help you. Have a great week. I'll see you next week as we start our new 2017 show series. Bye-bye.